So, why structured content? Piece from Bruce Lee for you. Be water, my friend, is the most important piece to take away from this. You may have heard Buddy Scalera talk about content as water earlier today. The idea is that fundamentally, not all content needs to be structured. This is the thing I should say up front and straight away. Not in most of our content marketing type organizations. There is a core set, though. There is a core set that covers every platform, that covers every opportunity that you have to connect with a customer. And that is the content you need to flow like water. You don't need to be making it time again. You need it to be moving across your platforms, to where it's needed to go. If you think about it, water is a pretty valuable thing, especially when you don't have enough of it. It's a bit like oxygen like that. So creating valuable content that can move across organizations is super important. Why? Because it helps you do a few other things as well. This is a new term for me, but one I thought was particularly relevant for you guys. Atomized content. Let me go back a bit. The idea is that rather than having the big bang, you have one idea which you break down into its atomized components and then reconfigure as you need them on the multiple platforms that you have. Rather than having lots and lots of pieces you're rebuilding, you're building a kit of parts. We talk about Lego a lot in structured content. This is your Lego kit that you're going to use across all of your platforms, be they web, be they Twitter, be they social platforms, be they even print as well. And also the weird, scary things which are coming out. The things I discovered the other day, like personal assistants like Cortana and Siri, when you ask them a question, they don't go and sort of do a Google search in the background and come up with things ranked on like what people think is relative and interesting. They just go for what they can get to. So having content that's easy to flow, that something like an API can get to, is suddenly a really big consideration. So structured marketing allows you to do, structured content enables an atomized marketing. It also enables good responsive design. Even if you're just talking about web channels, if you have content which is structured into small bits, you can reshuffle those bits around so they look good on every single device. I would say, I know companies who have done responsive design without structured content. It is possible. It just looks horrible. So, just saying. You can do it, doesn't mean you should. But you definitely need to do structured content if you want to do some form of adaptive content. If you want to do personalization, or you want to do something where a small part of that content is going to change according to information you have about a customer, like this is my Netflix account, I like the Hunger Games, these are the things it's represented to me. If you want to do that, then you definitely are going to need structured content. I hope these things are like, if you need to make the case for having structured content in your organization, these are some very key points that help shift people's mindsets. Cheaper localization. Wow. 20 to 30%, I would say, on average. If you're talking 2+ languages, you can see returns of 20 to 30% if you have structured content. It means you're just paying to get the piece translated that you need translated, not the whole block, not the whole page, not the whole brochure. And it also enables controlled management. If you have content which flows across platforms, you can actually flow it back the other way as well if you need to. If you have something which changes because you've been told that you have to. Has anyone had a cease and desist letter in the past? I have. I can tell you, yeah, it's quite an experience, isn't it, Noz? I've had a cease and desist letter when I worked at Expedia because we still had some photography we basically lapsed the copyright on it, fine. But we hadn't taken it down off all the places because we didn't actually have a way of structuring it so we could actually track it at that time. So I got a cease and desist letter, which was actually quite scary. But if you have controlled structured content, you can have very much more controlled content, and you can know what it's doing and where it is. So if you need to hold it back or change it all in one go, you can do that. So these are all good things. Fundamentally, structured content enables customer marketing to be scalable, fluid, and manageable, which is frankly what most of us want on a daily basis, is to stop the running, stop the continuous stoking of the fire, and get this to manageable. So you're thinking, great, okay, Kate, yep, I'm sold. Yeah, I'll go for structured content. Let's do it. Yeah, there's a few things I want to talk to you about first. which is the challenge of that is how do you start making, you've got to keep making content, right? You've got to keep wheels turning now that you've got this structure in place. How do you start designing content using your new Lego bricks set so that you can achieve what you want to achieve? And this is something that I think structured content people often shy away from talking about because it's messy and it involves people and it involves companies and it's not a nice and neat and structured like content is. So I want to talk a bit about this. Right, this is how content production often looks. This is based on my work with banking, pharma, e-commerce, you name it. It goes like this. You get a small group of people in marketing, 2, maybe 1, who decide to have an idea. And they talk to their agency, and they might say, hey, let's talk to our head designer. He goes, yeah, we've got to get this involved. And all of a sudden, you've got this beautiful-looking comp, and you think, yeah, that's great. Let's do that. Let's go and hand that over to the content people who go, yeah, okay, yeah, I kind of, how are we going to make this? And what's the interaction here? And how is this going to work across all your platforms? And you go, oh, okay, well, we better get some more people in to talk about this. And then the content people go, yeah, okay, yeah, I think we can build this. It's going to take a bit longer, but we are going to build this, right? And the content people go, okay, right, well, yeah, okay, well, fine. We're going to sign this off, okay. And they might just run it past design again. And then we might get some stakeholders to sign it off. And eventually, somebody in content presses a little button. And if you're really lucky, there's some poor sod who works in optimization or in SEO who's going, wait for me. And it has this kind of diamond shape. Notice the time along the bottom. Look how drawn out that process is. Look how many people are involved in that. And this is interestingly the point when most people start thinking, you know what, structured content looks like a good idea. Look at that fat bit in the middle. Couldn't we just slim that down? Wouldn't that just sort of bring the edges in a bit as well? That would be good. Let's do that. Unfortunately, if you take old processes and apply newly structured content, this is what happens. You get the same big triangle at the beginning, and then you get a whole bunch of content people going, yeah, we have a problem. This doesn't fit anymore. You've produced a comp, you've produced something you want me to make, only I can't do it with the set of Lego bricks that you've given me. So what would you like me to do? And then you get a ton of stakeholders involved going, well, okay, well, what could we do here? And maybe we can change things. And, oh, well, this isn't what we ordered. This is supposed to make things easier. I think we need to call in more content editors. They're clearly not doing their jobs right. And then there's a lot of to and froing and a lot of gymming and seeing if we can get things to fit. And eventually they go, you know what, we can't do it. We're going to need to get the designers back in. This is a problem. And the designers go, this isn't our problem. We need to get IT in. This is a technical issue. And then you get a whole bunch of content editors who are usually the people who get the most squeeze in these processes. And then you get some very, very unhappy stakeholders who, they just wanted their stuff made. And it's taking longer than it did before. You got more unhappy people in content. You've got some unhappy IT people here because they really didn't even want to be involved in this project. And then you've obviously got the guy from optimization who's just so way behind the curve now. He's just really sad. And you get this amorphous blob. You get this thing. And nobody's like, this isn't what we signed up for. We signed up for structured content. This isn't what we want. This is what it should look like. If you do the planning at the front, if you do collaborative planning with multiple stakeholders where you're planning a kit of parts, where you're working with what you have, you're planning optimization right at the front. Look how happy he is. He's like right up the front now, he's super happy. Then if you can design not the look of the thing, but the function of the thing, the movement and the design of the content, then actually the amount of design you need, the amount of creative you need starts to go down. Because, again, we're still working with core content here, but we're designing what it should do, not how it should look. So actually what you find is this sudden development of this arrowhead, which takes half the time. It's different shape. You do a lot more of the planning up front, but you get this arrowhead, and it is a lot faster. So, just to recap and be super clear, old production processes won't deliver you the benefits of structured content. Don't think that the structured content is a magic thing that will just get you there by itself. If you misuse the tool, it will not give you what you wanted. So you need to plan to change your planning.